yeah, this is, that negative thought you've been having, and I just can't let you try and change yourself without a fight. So, go ahead and just turn the show off, okay? And, yeah, everything's still fine.
This is Blindsight with your host, Bill Lundgren, an AINC original podcast.
You serious?
We're not holding back truth. We're here to help you heal and become the best you possible. Here's the chair. Here's the pillow. Here's Bill.
Hello there, and welcome to Blindsight. I'm your host, Bill Lundgren, and we're really excited to have you here for this program. We have a particularly interesting speaker, and Blindsight, of course, is a resource of audio information network of Colorado. And so what we're doing today is we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, which has to do with, as I understand it, and Amy's going to explain more about it, about being able to increase our vision or acuity through working with other species, as well as the things that she's being trained to do. So I'm welcoming Amy Seltzer. Welcome. Glad to have you here and real excited to talk about your topic.
Thank you, Bill.
How did you get involved with it?
Well, one thing a lot of people like is their pets that they own. And I'm that way myself. I have two pets. I have a dog and a cat. But my history, when I was younger, I actually lived in a remote area. So I've been involved ever since I was just learning to walk and talk with wild animals. So in my neighborhood, there were very few people, but there was a lot of animals. We had, jackrabbits. We had wild coyotes and all sorts of wild animals that were around all the time. So every night when I went to sleep, I could always hear the coyotes running around and catching the rabbits. So I learned a lot about the way that dogs hunt, and that has really changed the way that I think about eyesight. Because if you figure on it, in order to catch a rabbit, dogs have to be able to see very well. And this is why I got the idea in the beginning that dogs could help us to see better. So when I got older and I moved to the city, I never saw the coyotes anymore, but I did, adopt some rescue animals. And as I helped these animals to see better, I noticed that they started to express more of their wild instincts. And I also noticed that I got started to see better in my personal life. So that's where the idea came forth. I wanted to write a book about eyesight because it was an important topic for just your well-being, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being. But then as I spent more time on this book, I really felt like I wanted to emphasize how all creatures have eyes. And when we share our eyesight with these pets that we keep, we are going to bond with them so much closer. So that not only is it a good idea to improve your own eyesight, but it's also a good idea to improve your bond with your pet so that when you come home from work, you have complete relaxation from the stresses of work.
So how do you mean share our eyesight? That's an interesting concept. And you're an illustrator and artist as well.
Yes, I am. So when I look at my dog, I see that my perceptions of myself are reflected in my pet, and that is primarily in posture. So, for example, if I had a hard day at work and things weren't going right, when I look at my dog, I am not standing up straight, and I could be kind of off center to the side, and my eyes are low, and my head is down, and I'm kind of more kind of forward and kind of caved in my chest, and my dog will look at me, and my dog sees these as cues. So this is one of the key concepts about when dogs hunt. In a wild dog, when they're out hunting rabbits in a pack, they don't just chase after the rabbit. They are looking at that prey and looking for the cues that it gives. And then the group responds according to what the animal does. So when your dog looks at you, when my dog looks at me and it sees that I have all these different physical posture characteristics that I don't normally have, it sees them as cues, and it sees that I am not connecting very well to my environment, and I'm not coordinating very well in the room because I have somehow removed myself from my eyesight because I'm stressed out. So that's the benefit of having your dog see you, because it reads your posture as if it's reading a book.
Right. It's like I have a guide dog, and my sense sometimes that he knows when I'm stressed out. He's trying to tell me, like, almost like cool it. And sometimes I pay attention to that, and to my disadvantage is don't pay attention to it because he's really reading me. That's
Right.
the thing you're talking about.
That is what I'm talking. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And when you have this relationship with your dog, it kind of has a little bit of a play to it. So it kind of can go ebb or flow. So on the one hand, say you walk in the door and your dog looks at you, it sees your posture, and it reads all these cues. And then you have the opportunity to help that dog know how to interpret situation of you being there with it. And if you choose to ignore your posture and ignore your breathing, and ignore the situation, then your dog is going to change its strategy. So your dog is going to then emulate you. So if you walk in and you have this weird set of cues going on, your dog is going to try to match your cues, and it's going to kind of hide its own cues and its own knowledge and its own wisdom about relaxing and seeing, and coordinating in the environment.
So what I hear you saying is your dog is can be a thermometer to tell you what your mood is. A lot of us who are listening are guide dog users, like myself. And one of the things that you're talking about is really the communication ongoing between the dog and you. So can you tell me more about what your thinking is and your experience in working with this kind of population?
Right. So when you come into contact with your dog, you're kind of in a give and take situation where the dog can use a couple of different strategies depending upon what you do. So you are like the alpha dog, and you're the one who is giving the instruction. So if you are the leader, then the dog is going to submit to your will, and whatever it perceives that you want, it's going to follow down that path. So for example, if you are stressed out, you might display this in your posture, and when your dog sees that posture, it's going to see it like it's reading a book. So it's not just that you're leaning over and you've collapsed your chest and that your chin is down and your eyes are down, and that you might be clenching your fists, or you might be leaning to the side. All these things are not just posture to your dog, they're different cues to your dog. When you're showing your dog these cues, you've created a situation where your dog's either going to copy what you're doing and copy your posture, copy your breathing, copy your stress to make you feel like you're the alpha dog and it's copying you. So it's following you. It's letting you know it's following you by copying the stress behaviors that you have. Or when your dog sees those cues and sees your posture, and then you as the alpha dog start to try to relax, and you start to stand up straighter. You start to raise your chest. You start to open up your throat. You start to breathe a little deeper. That dog is going to know that you want to relax and that you want to see better and that you are needing its help to do those things. So instead of copying you, then it's going to teach you. So you can get your dog to do these things just by being the leader and asking for help. So one great way you can ask for help is to start breathing, because your dog is going to be much better at breathing than you are.
Oh, so because sometimes it's a contact, since he's a new to me guide dog, I feel like I wonder who's the alpha. And maybe that's part of what I need to, what you're saying is I need to learn to settle down, relax, and, and in that way, give him room to work.
I think that's true. So the very most important thing you can do is to relax your breathing, because your dog's going to change its strategy based upon whether or not you are breathing in a relaxed way.
Interesting.
And it's going to key off of that. And when you want to bond to your dog, the best step to do is to start breathing. So maybe be aware of your posture and be aware of whether or not you're holding your neck and your shoulders. If you're tensing your shoulders, if you're tensing your neck, your breathing is going to be limited. You're going to kind of be smothering yourself. And so you want to just kind of roll back your shoulders and open up your chest and breathe deeper, and try to breathe from your gut. So you shouldn't be afraid of actually using your hands in order to, place your hands on your shoulders. Maybe if you don't want to set them on your shoulders, you can just tap your shoulders with your fingers and lightly tap them. And as you're tapping your shoulders, and you maybe try to roll them back a little bit, and then move your hands upward on your neck, and then tap your neck a little bit. After you've done that to yourself, then you can go to your dog and do the same thing with your dog. So you can approach your dog and reach out your hand. Of course, you want to make sure the dog's okay with you contacting it. So you might not want to put your hand above the dog's head, or you don't want to touch its behind its ears, or you don't want to touch its tail. But as you approach your dog, you might reach out your hand closer to where the middle section of the dog is. And if the dog seems like it's okay with that, at that point you can touch its shoulders and maybe tap its shoulders a little bit, and then tap its neck a little bit. But that's after you have done those things to yourself. And now what you've done is you've started a direction that the dog is going to respect you as the alpha dog more, and it's going to understand that you're going to do to yourself first what you do to it. So it's not only are you emphasizing that you're the alpha dog, but then you're also emphasizing that this is kind of a healing experience and a teaching experience. So you're saying, I'm the teacher. I just taught you about your shoulders and your neck, and you can teach me too. So as you're tapping your dog's shoulders and neck, you want to watch it very closely and see what it does. So what you might do is see if it moves anything, like any kind of motion, like if it wiggled its ear, or if it blinked its eye. And if it does something like that, try to say its name and say good dog. It might not seem like it's that big deal to you that it wiggled its ear or flopped its ear around, or that it had, like, maybe if you touch its shoulder will move a little bit. Then you always want to say the dog's name and say good dog, because it's talking to you through these cues that it's giving.
And that's much more subtle than some of the training that we might get elsewhere. That's it.
Part of natural vision, okay, part of interspecies natural vision is if you get a cue like that from your dog, you want to make a mental note of it. And what it's called a comparison. So you say to yourself, when I walked in this room, my dog was sitting pretty much perfectly still. And then after I touched my dog's neck, then it moved. And now you've made a comparison. You said, we started out this one way and then something changed. When you make that comparison in your mind, you are activating your neuroplasticity.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about learning, you can learn your whole life. You know, all you have to do is you have to invest the time in order to help your brain to learn. So when you engage with your dog, you demonstrate the action upon yourself, then you show your dog by touching it, then you note and make the comparison in your mind how the dog acted before and after. And now your brain will start making chemicals about learning. So you've told your brain, through the help of your dog, you've told your brain, I'm going to learn how to see better. I'm going to learn how to breathe better. And even though it might seem very simple, these small comparisons that you make are telling your brain to make chemicals that will help you to make other changes as you're getting better and better at seeing.
So in other words, if I'm spending time with a guide dog and the dog is always with me,
mm-hmm.
but I need to be paying attention tactily, largely, since I can't see what he's doing, but by feeling, his motion and so forth, I'm learning what he needs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when you're and I don't want to emphasize too much eyesight on this, because dogs' eyesight is not the best part of their body.
Right.
They have all these different motions that are cues that you can experience and you can observe. And so when they're making this motion, then you can compare it and say, what we just did caused it to have this, like, for example, like it moved its shoulder or something like that. You can feel that in your own shoulder.
Right.
Right. And
excuse me, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. In other words, the two of us are really more in sync. Makes getting us more in sync.
Right. So you could either say, like, if you notice your dog had some sort of motion that it did with its body, you could either concentrate and try to feel that motion in your own body if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Or else you could just say the dog's name and say good girl or good boy, so that the dog knows that you saw that. So if it does something that you're not sure you can do, like if it makes some kind of motion that you can't recreate right away, you can always say its name and then say good girl or good boy. So maybe later on, if it does it again, like you would be able to feel it another time.
Right.
But if you can't, you want to respond really quickly. And if you can't feel it yourself right away, then you can always say its name right away so that it knows that you saw that.
And you can get some of the signal, the motion signal, through the harness as well, because the harness is so tuned to the dog's body. So that's another way you get some of the messages from the dog that you've got to pay attention to.
Yes, I think that's absolutely true. And then after you've noticed those messages and you've either felt them yourself or told your dog, called your dog by its name and praised it, the most important thing is to pause and stop for a minute. So when you notice those things, think about it a little bit and think about where you are and what time it is, and just give yourself a second to pause and reflect upon it. Because what you're doing is, now that you've noticed that your dog has moved and you've recognized it and you've praised your dog, now your brain has opened up and it's allowed an opportunity for this learning to begin. In order to make the learning begin, you have to pause and stop and rest. So it's almost like taking a little bit of a nap, a kind of little sleeping just for a second and relaxing really deeply for a second. Say, I just learned something. I'm going to stop and think, I learned something.
And then you incorporate it in your brain. You incorporate that learning, and then it'd be more automatic next time that same thing happens. Is that what we're talking about? Okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So we're working within the system, and when you do that, then the brain is going to start thinking about, how am I going to do that better next time? What can I do? So that's when you get a real advantage for working with a dog, because dogs are very expert at transitions. And part of transitions is to just stop and pause afterwards. I have a friend who has a new puppy, and this is a kind of a dog that could be trained as a guide dog. And one of the it's not trained yet, but one of the things that it does is every time it has some action, it stops after it did it and just rests. And that dog is very, very smart, because it instinctively knows that it has begun to learn and needs to stop and rest.
Oh.
So you might think, "Oh, you dumb dog! Why don't you keep on coming? We're doing so good. We're learning so much." And the dog is like, "No, listen to me. I'm teaching you. That when we learn and when we're starting this relationship and we're going down this path, the most important part of it is to stop. So we are on this path."
So what you're saying is, if I hear you right, this natural way of operating with dogs is not so natural for us, because we're American and we go fast and everything has to happen in an instant. And you're saying slow down, which is good for us anyway.
That's the advantage of using a dog, because a dog is never going to forget about the transitions. And that's exactly right, is that we're going too fast, and we want to find it out, and then we want to zoom to the next subject and learn that, and then go on to the next thing, and it's always go forward, and that is a pressure that we get from society, that our dog can teach us how to escape that. So we need to reduce our pressure, and our dog knows that. If we give it permission and we start this relationship with the dog it will show us right away how to do that transition.
Right. Well, at times with my new dog, he'll throw toys at me and say, "Hey, Daddy, pay attention to me," which really is what you're saying. I've got
Right.
to move away from the computer or whatever and spend time with him and get a sense of what he needs.
Yes. Yes. And I think when you do that, you shouldn't feel like you have to spend like a whole half an hour, but that you should be able to take it as an opportunity for better eyesight. And what I mean by that is that for 5 minutes, just give all of your attention to your dog. And I don't mean that you're going to see it better, but what I mean is that you will approach it as if you could see it very, very well. So you're giving all your attention to the dog for 5 minutes and then you stop. So in other words, you're not checking your email, nothing's interrupting you. You're just, everything is pointed toward the dog. And if the dog does something, you say its name or you try to feel it yourself. And you do that for 5 minutes and you've started that dialogue.
So in a sense, you're seeing the dog by what people refer to as the third eye. It's kind of the brain doing the operation, but you've got to give it time to work.
Yes. Yes. So what you might do is you might consider that your dog doesn't have a lot of needs, but it does have a need that you would be very, very coordinated with it. So you could spend 5 minutes just trying to become coordinated with your dog as much as you possibly can. And I know sometimes there is a lot of stress going on and it is really hard. You got to check that email or you have to do this whole list of tasks that you have to get done. And it's not like a question, maybe it's something that you have to do. And sometimes it's very hard to just say, I am going to spend 5 minutes and I'm going to pretend like there is nothing else in this whole world than just my dog. And every time my dog does something, then I'm going to notice it and I'm going to say praise to it, say its name or try to feel it myself. And I know it's hard to do that, but the next time it will be easier because what you're doing is you're teaching your brain that when you see your dog, it's going to go to this whole completely different mode. And so every time you spend that 5 minutes to interact with your dog like that, you're teaching your brain that during the day, I'm going to have these periods where my brain can stop and my brain can start to learn new things. And I will be thinking about my posture. I'll be thinking about my dog's posture. I'm not going to think about other things. I'm just going to be breathing, and just really coordinating with my dog in every way that I can think of. Then after you've done that for a while, then it will be easier to do that. And you can get on a deeper level with your dog.
So what other things should we be looking for, when we're working with a dog that'll help the dog and us to be more effective because we're so dependent on the dog. I mean, really, when you think about it, a guide dog user need really, we don't like to admit it, or at least I don't like to admit it, but we need the dog. And you're telling us to pay attention to them rather than worrying about teaching them, let them teach us.
Right. Because remember, whether or not you think you're teaching the dog or you think you're not teaching the dog, that dog still sees you as alpha. And you're in charge because you're the one who gives it its food and its water and its shelter. And so even if you think you're not really in charge, that dog is always going to see you as being in charge. So it's not a question of who's the alpha. You are the alpha. It's just a question of within that relationship of that dog needing you all the time, and you are the leader of the dog all the time. If you're going to let it teach you, you know, and if you're going to let it be in charge, and if you're going to let it help you relax, because the dog is probably not ever going to get you to work harder. The dog is probably going to want you to coordinate with it and to relax more.
Which is certainly a great enterprise for a lot of us, particularly when we're, if we're nervous about blindness, for example. And, I can't see, I need to make decisions. And you're saying, if I hear you right, the dog, will help us to see better the things that we're afraid of.
Yeah.
And how to handle it if we just let it.
I think so. I think so. And that the nice thing about a dog is he's not going to charge you anything for it.
True.
You can save a lot of money by letting your dog teach you those sort of things,
Well, what do you cover a lot of this in your book? Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, in my book, I kind of I developed this story about what it means to have eyesight. Okay, so when I talk about eyesight, I don't mean about being able to read and drive and do all these things that you can do with really 20/20 vision. Okay, those things are good things. I'm not saying that they're bad, but what I'm saying is that in my book, I talk about how the eyes are in the very beginning of your chain of command. So little muscles in your eyes and little changes of things that seem small to you and your eyes are very large and important to the whole rest of your body, because your eyes are the boss of your body. So it is hard to be blind, because it's like your boss is not able to give the commands that your body's expecting, but it's still the boss. So in my book, I talk about how it's so important to try to pay attention to your eyes every day and improve as much as you can, not trying to think about perfect vision, but just trying to keep what you have and to enjoy what you have. So any little bit of vision you have is a huge improvement for your whole body and your whole life. So as I am saying, you go over to your dog and you notice that you use its harness in order to notice that different things are moving in its body. This is also part of eyesight, because when your body can sense your dog's body moving, it's relayed to your eyes. So even though you can't see it with a visual way, and yet your brain is using it as if it was like a visual information. So it's holding that space and saving that space, and it's maybe even increasing your neuroplasticity to allow for more space to be given later on. See what I'm saying? So one of the important things about my book is that I rescued a dog that was completely blind, and by doing this interspecies natural vision, I increased her eyesight. I'm not saying that she can see perfectly well, but I'm saying just small changes in her eyesight. Just like when I first got her, her pupils were completely obscured. They were completely blocked. And through natural vision, she got some light going into her eyes, which completely changed her life. So I'm not saying that she can see everything, but what I'm saying is that we need to fight for our vision and to see whatever we can see, because it is so important for our whole bodies, because our eyes are in charge of everything. So any little thing that you can see and have as information for your eyes is going to be a huge benefit for your whole life. And this is why dogs are so important, because as a human being, we can judge ourselves and we can say, yeah, well, that's great. I can see that one area is dark and one area is light, but man, I wish that I could do everything. And I wish that, I still won't fit in with society, and I still won't, this and that. And you say all these things, and now you've talked yourself down, and it's not fun anymore, and it's not good anymore, and it's a waste of time. And I don't know why I'm trying to do this. If you look at your dog and you work with your dog, and you see your dog every day, and that dog's eyesight improves, it's going to be so happy. Every little tiny improvement in my dog's eyesight has made her thrilled. And it makes me think about myself, about how when my eyesight improves, or I see something beautiful that I really like, how I just kind of talk it down and I say, oh, that's not so good. That's not so great. I don't know why I'm happy. I don't know. The dog never thinks that.
Uh-huh.
When the dog when you connect to your dog, that dog's going to teach you about how important eyesight is, and how great it is, and how it is the best thing to cherish and love that, because it makes you happy. And if you are by yourself, you'll think, well, I'm not really happy. I feel so lonely. But if you're with your dog and your dog can see better, your dog's like, gosh, thank you so much for helping me see. I I can't believe how much better my life is. I look to one side, and one side is bright, and the other side is dark. And that just makes me so happy. Just to be able to notice that. And then you start thinking about yourself, and you're like, I am so spoiled. Everything has to be so fancy and terrific for me in order to like it at all. And then when I like it, then I just spend my whole time thinking about how I don't really like the things I like. And if you train with your dog and you heal with your dog's going to teach you about life, and your dog's going to teach you about, breathing in life. So it's not just breathing in air to your lungs, but you're breathing in life and thinking, gosh, I am so happy to be alive. And this is one of the best things about having a guide dog near you all the time, is because if, as the alpha dog, you allow that dog to be happy, it's going to show you how it's happy.
So, so in other words, it really, when we talk about a guide dog giving you a new, pardon the pun, leash on life, it really is by really becoming your eyes and seeing things that we may not be able to. But it may, okay, that's an interesting, that's a fascinating concept.
Yeah. And the dog will be checking on you because you're the alpha dog. If you don't allow it to do that, it knows you're not allowing it to do that just by looking at your posture. So you don't have to say, you dumb dog, I'm so sick of you. Why don't you go sit in the corner? You don't have to say that. All you have to do is walk in, and you're slumped over, and you're not breathing, and you're looking on something else, and your dog will hear that. But on the other hand, if you walk in and you see your dog and you're like, oh, there's my dog. I wonder, if it can help me to see something. And then the dog will be like, oh, I'll help you. I'd love to help you.
And that can be true even if you don't have a guide dog. If you have, let's say you partially sighted, and you just have a dog that's not as a guide dog, that's still helping you to, in essence, see.
Right. Like for myself, I don't have a guide dog, but I have my dog that I'm doing this interspecies natural vision with. And one of the things I struggle with is like I'm a full-time employee of a corporation, and when I go into the work setting, I imitate my boss. So if my boss is stressed out, I will take on my boss's posture. I will take on my boss's facial expression. I will take on my boss's stride. And the whole day long, 8 hours long, I will walk and talk and breathe and act like my boss. Because I want to blend in. I want to be successful. And I want to do the things that my boss does so that my boss thinks that I'm great. And so all those things are usually stress behaviors. So I'm going to work and I'm saying, oh, I'm stressed out just like you. I'm gonna stay stressed out and you can be stressed out too. And then I come home and I see my dog and I'm like, man, I just wish I could act like myself.
Right. Okay. So, and I imagine you're saying that a lot of us do that automatically without even being aware. You're aware of it, and you're suggesting that we look at it.
Yeah.
In terms of our relationship with other people, what kind of messages are we responding to?
Right.
Just as our dogs respond to us.
Right.
That's an interesting concept.
Right. And so that as we're allowing our dog to teach us these things, it's going to be more and more willing to show us about how we can relax and be ourselves around it.
Okay.
And when we get to that point, then we're more able to see the world outside home as a distant something else. So now we've relaxed and we're with our pet or we're with our guide dog and we're changed in our mode. We've switched. And then when we go back, we switch back to the other way. But it's so important that we would be able to take that break. So that we can get a perspective of, wow, I've really changed what I...
What's the title of your book?
It's called Playing for Peeps, a Guide to Interspecies Natural Vision.
I see. What is the meaning of the title, Playing for Peeps?
And so it's like playing for keeps. It's a play on words because you know how you play for keeps? It's like you want to keep your eyesight.
Ah, okay, play for keeps. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yes, and so you actually are more playful. When you're more playful in life and less stressed out, then you'll keep your eyesight better. So that's why I say the word peeps, because it's like when you say the word peepers, jeepers, creepers. Where'd you get those peepers?
Yeah.
You kind of think of your life in that kind of a light kind of a way. And instead of like, oh my God, I have to have my eyes, otherwise I won't get a paycheck.
Right.
Now that can't be healthy.
That's great, Amy. I really fascinated by your approach, and I'm sure our audiences are. And I hope that we can keep in touch. And how can people get? My understanding, when you get your certification, you're going to be available to do consultation.
Yes. So right now I am studying with iSchool in the Netherlands, and I'm doing Zoom classes with Peter Reuter of Utrecht, Netherlands, and I actually have just received my certification as a holistic vision teacher. But I'm not offering classes until I finish my book. So I'm going to finish my book on the end of September. And at that point, I'm going to start offering classes as a certified holistic health teacher. But right now, if you want to follow me, you can find all this information on my Instagram. And my name is Amy Seltzer. It's AMY Seltzer, and that's my Instagram profile name.
Okay. Now, are there other ways to get in contact with you that you want to lay out there? We're going to put it on a notes category, but if you want to tell people how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, I really prefer if people will email me. It's Amy, AMY, the number 3, the letter M, the letter T, at gmail.com. So it's amy3mt at gmail.com. I love to get email. I try to respond within 24 hours. And we can set something up if you want to set something up, or if you just want to contact me with a question, I'll be glad to answer it. And I do a lot of I contact people with email quite a bit.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate your help in being on the program today, and we certainly hope to keep in contact and look forward to hearing more about what you're doing. So that's it for our program. It's Bill Lundgren signing off for Audio Information Network of Colorado. Have a great week.